Good morning. Bach wrote 3 cantatas for this Sunday, Jubilate, and every one a winner. They all chart a spiritual path from sorrow to joy, the disciples left behind, bewildered and grieving at Jesus' departure, and then the joy of eventual reunion. You don't have to be a Christian to identify with that trajectory, times when the world is totally out of kilter and everything in your life looks bleak, to that chink of light and hope that tells you all will be well and we'll meet again. Well, you're in for a treat. I've chosen the best of the bunch, cantata number 146, Wir müssen durch, viel, Trübsal, composed by Bach in about 1726. It starts out with a mammoth concerto movement. I'm sure you'll recognize the familiar D minor harpsichord concerto. But here, Bach transposes it for organ. What an organ! It'll blow your mind away with its 32-foot pedal, especially if you listen on headphones. Bach converts what's originally a piece of elegant chamber music into a colossal, thunderous, mighty Wurlitzer of an explosion, and it's full of festive excitement. During the Bach Cantata pilgrimage in 2000, we recorded this cantata live exactly 20 years ago, using this amazing 37-stop instrument built by Tobias Trost in 1739, an instrument which Bach himself is known to have played, and I'm told by organ experts that this instrument came closest to his ideals about sound and tone. It's situated high up on a wall in the chapel of Altenburg Castle, 40 miles south of Leipzig in Thuringia. Just as we were about to start the concert, disaster struck when this magnificent but rickety old instrument began to misbehave. Without any key being pressed, it started to cipher on a loud, continuous F. Horrors. Luckily, the local organist was in the audience and he came running, brandishing a huge hammer, and he seemed to know where to bash it. After a long delay in which I got locked in the organ gallery, eventually we got underway. Now, as if the opening Sinfonia isn't impressive enough, I want to draw your attention to the second movement. A bigger contrast could hardly be imagined, for it's here that Bach displays his mind-blowing skill in grafting brand new material onto the adagio of the D minor harpsichord or violin concerto, a fully formed choral setting of the words, "We must through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of God." Beautiful as the original version is, what Bach does here by adding those 4 vocal lines to the organ solo and the string accompaniment is nothing short of a miracle. The music takes on a whole new dimension of meaning, one that harks back to the mood of the St. Matthew Passion, with its dissonant harmonies weighed down by the recurring ostinato bass line. He really makes you feel the load of tribulation and sorrow that the believer has to suffer if he's to gain admittance to the kingdom of heaven. How did he do it? What ran through his mind? Did he already envisage a radically different end use back at the start of composing the harpsichord or violin concerto and just file it at the back of his mind, at the back of his desk drawer? Or, with the cantata text sitting newly in front of him, was it his extraordinary capacity to see multiple ways to elaborate on it? A bit like a grandmaster of chess, able to anticipate several moves ahead and perceiving shapes and patterns that would fit together that no one else could possibly see. We just don't know. Everything now changes. The bare bones remain, the original throbbing ritornello theme, but it's now reduced to a kind of ground bass, and it's the choir who now move centre stage with their 4 vocal lines, enriching the texture and seeming to override the original phrase structure. And what's happened to the original solo part? Well, it's still there, but it's no longer the focal point. And the role it now plays puts me in mind of John Bunyan's famous Pilgrim's Progress. The organ melody, a bit like a benign presence, showing the path through and out of the valley of the shadow of death. And for us as listeners, I feel it's a case of multi-stable perception. The oral equivalent of those magic eye images, you know. When we look at a zebra, is it basically white with black stripes or black with white stripes? All I can say is that in performance, this movement requires colossal restraint and control by both singers and players to sustain the hushed, otherworldly atmosphere over 87 bars. And by the way, the other movements of the cantata are pretty good too. I strongly urge you to listen to Kati Debretzeni's moving account of the same music in her reconstruction of the violin original version on our recent recording. It's absolutely mesmerising. And also to the other two cantatas for this Sunday, just as well. Just go to our MCO shop where you can buy the CDs. You don't experience the full range of Bach's genius till you really get to know his cantatas. I wish you delight and enjoyment.